All right, let's talk about Disney. They
boy.
just had their recent earnings call yesterday. Their stock plummeted. I just kind of want to talk about it. For some reason, of all the studios, Disney is the one we love trolling. It's the one that just kind of represents the worst in Hollywood at the moment, especially from a business perspective. And I don't know not a B, so I can't vouch for its veracity. I know they're trying to be, I guess, like the Babylon Bee, but they have the best article about this. Woke Disney stock plunges after another disastrous earnings call. We can't say why we didn't see it coming, even though we did see it coming. Well, this is a surprise. After years of pushing a not-so-secret gay agenda on kids and spending billions on poorly written, badly directed box office bombs, Disney had another fun earnings call. Stock plunged almost 10% moments after CEO Bob Iger predicted poor earnings in Q3. So this next quarter, they predict they're not going to do so well. Let me see. And of course, my screen here is stuck on Trump. Here we go. It goes through all the disasters of Disney. The Marvels lose $230 million. Indiana Jones loses $143 million. Wish loses $131 million. Haunted Mansion $117 million. Disney execs are blaming everything but themselves for this, citing industry changes and superhero fatigue. We know that the real problem is bad movies and woke agenda fatigue. Okay, so this is clearly from not a B. I'll skip that. Okay, so here's the thing. When I saw the news about the earnings call, let me see. Let's take a look at Disney here. This is today. Today they are losing about 0.1%, but you could see the big drop here. This is where they were at the earnings call, and then it dropped down here, and I don't know what that is, but after a day it hasn't recovered, and I don't put a lot of sway into the stocks. If we could invest based on the news, we could probably be all rich. But things are not looking good, and what you saw in that earnings call is Bob Iger. It's this idea that he'll spin anything anyway to make them look good. They'll say that they didn't see things coming, or they'll say that those numbers aren't as much as bad as you think they are. Then they'll push money around saying that Disney Plus added new subscribers. What is based on just the business end of things? Let me drop that out. What do you think is going on at Disney?
I mean, I wish I could say something that hasn't already been said, but you kind of hit the nail on the head with and that article did too. They obviously have become more agenda driven than they have become profit driven. If you worked at let's say, Alan, you own a company, and obviously maybe your main focus isn't just making as much money as possible, but let's say you run a company and the first time you put out a product you lose, like if you own a multi-million-dollar company and you lose $1 million, you go, ooh, we don't want to lose $1 million again. But imagine then the next time you put out a product, you lose $1 million. Then you lose $1 million again. You go, at some point somebody has to go, what is going on and what is not working? And Disney hasn't done that. Like we're watching them like roll out bomb after bomb after bomb, and this is on the heels of what we were already talking about with them, which is that we knew that their movies were struggling. We've been saying this for a while. We know Star Wars has become almost completely unprofitable. Like it doesn't generate anything anymore. Galactic Star Cruiser was a nightmare. We know that they lean really heavily on their parks to generate income for them. We also know that the parks have not been doing as well as they were hoping they were. So we're watching them just take hit after hit after hit, and at some point, as somebody in the company has to stop and say, enough is enough. We have to get back to something that drives people. But all we've seen them do is double down on nostalgia. Baiting nostalgia. We've seen them double down on making more and more movies to establish, and I'll use this is a page from Chris's book, established Disney as a girl brand, and things like that, when that was never an issue before. Like we knew, the Little Mermaid is mostly going to be for young girls, but guys went and saw it. Kids saw it. These movies were made for people that like for kids in general that could go see it, and their parents could watch it and enjoy it with them. Now, a lot of times I'll watch a movie and I'll go, as a parent, I don't want to watch this. And I kind of don't want my kid watching this because I don't want them thinking like, I don't want them to watch this and watch something bad when we could go watch something good and enjoy it,
Yeah, it used to be, I mean, we've heard it from recently from theater owners that people would go up to the window, see the Disney movie and ask, is it safe? There used to be a time where you just plop your kid in front of Disney, the Disney Channel, and you walk away and you didn't fear anything bad or anything that you as a parent might object to
100%.
infiltrating these stories.
Yeah.
And, I think, you mentioned doubling down. It just seems like there's this path that Disney is going down and that nothing is going to cause them to stray from that path. This fight with Nelson Peltz trying to get on the board and the amount of money, the corporate money they spent trying to keep him off the board was incredible to me. The idea that Iger has appointed the entire board as yes men, basically, and so there's no dissent. There's no one in the corporation that says, "Hey, we're losing money like you can't believe. Maybe we should change direction, or maybe we should look at things differently." I remember in the D-Files when we talked about Strange World. They had made this movie, added the gay teen love story, and put in and basically told a story that was about the dangers of fossil fuels. It was an environmental allegory. The movie bombed opening Thanksgiving weekend, and the first thing that all the employees got during that Zoom call to kind of go over the massacre of the weekend was, "I know it hurts, but we have to stay the course." And that was eye-opening to me because, and that's what got us to Wish, to an even more activist type story. And I mentioned it ad nauseum, but Walt Disney was always driven by failure. His next movie, if it failed, it could have tanked the company. Disney is too big to fail, and it just doesn't seem like they care. And what they say after the earnings call is just an indication that they're going to spin things however they want, make things seem better than they are to investors, while we as the audience know we're being gaslit like crazy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think the difference here, because I've seen so many people go, Disney has always been a big company. They've struggled in the past, and they've always But the problem here is that we have never had this level of transparency within the film industry. And the thing is, we have watched studios. 20th Century Fox is gone. They don't exist anymore. They belong to Disney. I would have never in a million years thought that 20th Century Fox would have been bought up by the mouse, but here it is. When they bought Marvel was struggling. They needed help, and they had gotten back to some profitability, but it made a little bit of sense. When they bought Star Wars, you go, okay, well, George Lucas has been looking to sell Star Wars. He just doesn't want to deal with it anymore. But, they've just been buying things up left and right, and we're watching them make every single one of these properties and IPs completely worthless. And that's the part of it that is wild to me. But, the other part of it is, we've worked with people now, doing this independent stuff that have worked with Disney. And I have not met a single person, this is not hyperbole, I've not met a single person that has ever had any dealings with Disney that has anything good to say about the company. They don't like working with them. They said it's always a terrible experience. And I know people that have been screwed over by them bad enough to say, you know what? The only reason I didn't sue them was because they make it such a legal headache to deal with them that it wasn't worth my time. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, if you go back to 2 weeks ago when we talked about Disney and Versus, this is a company that's strayed far off Walt's path.
Yes.
You know, was Disney always big? Well, it was big, but you know, Disneyland almost didn't open.
Yeah.
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs almost was never finished. You
Yeah.
know, there was that fear of failure, and I think that fear of failure made their products better. It
Yeah.
forced better storytelling. It predicated on the fact that we need a large audience to see our movies and go to our parks and for us to make money.
Yeah.
And that simple common sense idea about business is gone.
Yeah.
And it's just excuses. I mean,
Always. Yeah.
watching Disney, you know, watching Bob Iger speak is like watching politics.
Yeah.
You know, you can't believe a thing they say, and you feel like you're being gaslit every time they open their mouth.
Yeah, which is wild because once again, I was talking about this with somebody like a week ago. I remember like when not Bob Iger, Michael Eisner
Yeah.
would show up on the Wonderful World of Disney, and he'd show up on your television, and he'd sit down and give you this speech. And even though it was all corporate and it was about making money, and we know Michael Eisner was all about making money, and he didn't care about making good art. That's the quote from him. At the end of the day, me and my mom and like other people we knew, we would sit down in front of the TV and believe that this guy on the television was telling us the truth and really wanted us to be entertained and to enjoy the hard work that was put into this film. We all believed that stuff. Now, if you know, Bob Iger went up and said that, I wouldn't believe him. I would think that it was an angle, and I don't think that that is just because of the transparency. I think it is absolutely because of what we've seen from Disney and how we've seen them lie and how the lack of transparency across the board. And while yes, you don't want to upset your investors and things like that, how long can you keep lying to your investors before something happens to your company that you can't come back from? That's what we're all kind of looking at, is going, yo, like we're not desperate to see this company fail for the sake of seeing it fail. We're all wondering, yo, the writing's kind of on the wall. At what point do you go, yes, we have to pivot and change, or at what point do you just fall apart?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, you know, I see Gary talk about this all the time. You know, it's like, let's just let it fail.
Yeah.
Just let Disney crash and burn, and then see what rises up from those ashes. Because, you know, it's like, what is the scenario of change? Even if Nelson Peltz got on the board, he is now one minority voice on the board of directors. And so whatever he says, you know, he's going to get outvoted. And, but at least that was a beginning. At least that was a sign that people outside of Iger and his cabal know what's going on and want to see change. And it sounds like we have to go another year of bad Disney for them to finally get it. Yeah, I went to CinemaCon. I went to the Disney panel, and 4 movies. I'll just mention the 3 big ones, the 3 live action movies, quote unquote, that I think will be great for Disney this year. It's Deadpool Wolverine, it's Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and it's Alien Romulus. Ironically, all 3 of those are Fox movies, are Fox studio films.
You nailed it. That's it right there. Yep.
Everything else that like Disney has a what is it, the young girl and the sea, about a woman the first woman to swim across the English Channel. And I watched that trailer, and I'm sure the person who did it has an inspiring story to tell. But you watch that trailer, and it's all about they'll never let a woman do this. No one cares if a woman can do that. A woman's certainly going to die out in the ocean. And that's the trailer they give you. And you know, it's not about being an inspiring person, but it's about the cause.
Yes. And that's really what it comes down to. Like, you know, it's funny because people ask, I see this as an excuse for Disney. People say, well, there have always been like woke movies, there have always been activist movies, there have always been movies that are about a cause, and some of them were really popular and appreciated. But like a big part of it is the authenticity of it. You know, the authenticity of these comments. Like if you go watch like Remember the Titans, like yes, the movie is definitely about racism and racism being a bad thing and stuff, but it was a real story, and the goal wasn't to yell at the audience about racism is bad. The goal of the goal was to tell the audience an entertaining story about this football team and how they came together and overcame a bunch of odds that were external to just playing football. It's an interesting concept, but we also watched the Disney tank the sports genre as well. They just kept pumping things out, and then they ended up putting the new Mighty Ducks on Disney Plus, and people didn't like it and people didn't enjoy it, and now you had Emilio Estevez walk away from it. And so it's like there's at this point, like you said, Disney's best projects are relying on the goodwill of another company that they bought to make it work. Deadpool is popular not because of Disney, but because of what Fox did with it, because Fox decided to take a risk when the footage leaked, and they decided to really lean into Deadpool and what makes Deadpool work. The sequel to Deadpool, while I don't think it was as good as the first one, still was trying to rely on the comic books and still trying to be accurate to the character, to the source material, to the themes of the character. It's like, so Disney's going, hey, cool, we got this character that you guys love, and don't you guys want to watch him do stuff? And you're like, yeah, but I'm kind of worried you guys are going to make him not act like he was supposed to act, because we know you have an agenda, and now everybody sees that. So
yeah, I mean, it's fun watching Kevin Feige talk about it, about Deadpool, because he came out and thought it'd be really cool if he just started dropping F-bombs, and he dropped about 6 of them.
Yeah.
And you just realize that it's like, we just need a win here. And so and it was just like, we're gonna get the win here, but we're still staying the course,
Yes.
So
we just need
enjoy
to win.
this one movie.
Yeah, we need a win so we can justify to everybody around us that we haven't completely lost the plot. But like, everybody knows they've lost the plot, because that's, like you said, at the end of the day, they're still staying to this agenda. And I mean this in the best way, because I know a lot of people will have an opinion, and I know a lot of people kind of already know the answer to this question, but it's a question that I pose that I hope will wake up other people. Like, why are they putting this agenda above profitability? That doesn't make any sense. Like, no, you want to make entertainment, you want to make good movies. Sometimes movies flop. It happens. That's what cult classics were a thing. But we haven't seen Disney make a cult classic in decades. There hasn't been a movie that flopped at the box office and then became a massive hit later, So it's like, what is driving these people to stay this course? Why is it that nobody can stop at this company and go, hey, listen, we're losing money, we're struggling, the company is at an all-time low, and all these other companies around us that we have been able to, like, that have not even been close in competition to us, are watching us struggle, and they're circling around us. We're watching Epic Universe about to take off, which ironic name, but like, they're about to release a theme park that blows anything Disney has out of the water. Like,
I know.
But
for
Disney
the first
owns...
time, it's weird. For the first time, we're planning a vacation to Orlando, and it's Epic Universe we're going to.
Yeah,
and not Disney. And that's never. I've been there many times, and that's never happened. The other thing is, okay, so at CinemaCon, we saw a clip of Captain America, New World Order, and it's look, when you see a trailer, you should be inspired to want to see that movie. When I saw Deadpool and Wolverine, we knew what we were getting. We saw the clips, and I was inspired to see that movie. I can't wait to see it. But now with Captain America, it's like I'm just not inspired at all. Again, and this is the problem with Disney. They just assume that if they produce a movie, we'll come out and see it. And it surprises me that they have yet to learn that lesson. That we're, just because you make a movie, just because you make a Marvel movie, just because you make a Star Wars movie, we're not gonna come out in droves to see it. And they don't see it here.